What's going on, everyone? Seth Miranda here at my studio in Manhattan with the Nikon Zfc and 28mm F2.8. Let's start off the Zfc because this one's kind of special, right? Nikon throwing it back, going into their lineage. Over 100 years of Nikon, bringing it up to the Z series where we are today, but they're going back with a little bit of retro vibe here. You have tangible dials, actual controls. I know it's like, whoa, it's like, no, like that's really for the romance of photography, right? You set your shutter speed, your ISO, and even your EV compensation via dials. But if you want to, you have that modern spin on it with the internal dials that you can set your shutter speed and aperture, and have all the other modern things like 4K video to be able to vlog and things like that. So it is an APS-C crop sensor camera, which is cool, keeps it nice and tight and compact. And, oh, what? Flip out screen, that's right. So really good for vlogging, good for video. So you have that variable tilt screen and everything like that. And you can also take that screen away if you want to. This is like not like a feature, but you can flip it and close it so that you have more of that retro vibe, right? You're only using the viewfinder. I know I'm making a thing out of this, but it actually does change the experience, because I think what you guys have to remember is all the features in the world are great and all the specs in the world are great, but you have to enjoy the experience of picking up that camera. You have to want to pick up that camera. And if you're someone that's more of a traditionalist, this might be for you. And on top of all of that, you get to use the Nikon Z series glass with it, which is what I got to do with this 28mm F2.8 special edition that they put this nice little retro feel to it. So when you pair it with the camera, you also have a fashionable look. So if you're someone out there that cares a lot about the look of the camera, if you're someone that's not that super tech nerdy and just wants to have something that looks good, performs good, gets you what you want, this might be for you as well. I had a lot of fun with it today. I went out on the balcony with Whitney. She's my model and also an accomplished composer and musician here in New York. Always has great wardrobe, and today was no different. On this nice overcast day, threw a reflector out there with it. Shot with the kit lens, which is the 16 to 50mm 3.5 to 6.3 variable aperture lens. Really compact lens. I mean, when you put the lens cap on, you compact that lens, it's a small kit. I switched over to 28mm f2.8, which on this camera equivalency is kind of like 42mm sort of, if you want to look at it that way. So it gave me a little bit of a longer feel, but it also gave me a nice bokeh, whatever you guys want to call it. You know, out of focus background looked really nice. Both lenses performed really well. I have to say, I really had a good time with the 28mm. I mean, you can ask Fernando behind the camera. As soon as I was like, this lens is awesome. The one thing about it though, it is suspiciously light, but it's a great walk around lens for that reason. It's lightweight, small, and low cost. So for a walk around lens to be a 2.8, give you that nice wide range, or if you put on this camera, give you a little bit more of a punch in, close to almost like a little bit wider of a 50mm natural look. It's a really cool lens to put on this camera. I really think the highlight here is user experience on this camera. I mean, you have all those dials, right? But I know how it can be kind of intimidating for someone who's not used to them, especially if you were like raised on a phone and got a camera that only has like 2 dials on it now. But it actually can be flipped into completely automatic, or just go into the modern style with the 2 dials, no problem. Even the screen itself is completely touchscreen. So if you're used to something like a phone and moving into a camera like this, you're kind of native to it. It's very intuitive and you're able to get through it really easily. And the eye menu is one of the easiest quick menus I've found to date, which you can customize yourself. So always keep these settings you need right there, especially let's say I'm vlogging, go to the eye and I have the settings I want to get to instead of worrying about where it is in the menu. It's right there where I need it. So I know this looks all pretty and it's kind of trendy and fashionable, and that's cool and that's great for everybody that's into that kind of thing, but you might need performance, and that is where this is not a slouch. 20.9 megapixel APS-C sensor, but you get up to 11 frames per second shooting straight through continuous shooting. That lets you work. If you're in a fast environment, you can do it. You have the face and eye detection also, and also keep in mind, you can throw a strobe on this thing, right? So if you're someone that's getting into natural light, or you're a beginning photographer and you want to learn how to actually set your camera, it's a good interface to get the base knowledge for how to set your exposure and stuff like that and really understand what's happening with the camera. But you can also grow with it and maybe go into a studio, throw in a trigger, make whatever lighting setup you want. You're shooting in a studio, you can do commercially type stuff. You just happen to be using this camera. It's a great option. So you can actually start out really good, have the performance there when you need it, and evolve with the features while you evolve as a photographer or videographer, because it's pretty capable as a video camera. Remember, flip out screen. So even though it's got a traditional vibe to it, right? We have that retro skin look to it, but we also have the tangible dials for actual controls like an actual analog camera like Nikon has made for a long time. Myself started out with the FM2. The FM3.8, by the way, is my favorite of all the Nikon film cameras. So if you don't know about that, check out that camera. Adorama used department. All right, but it's also up to date with all the video features, right? So you have the flip out screen, 4K video, great for vlogging. You're out and about, bingo bango, you're talking to the camera, you got your vlog footage for whatever you're trying to produce out there. But you can also bring it home, drop it down on your desktop. I put it on a GorillaPod, plug it in via USB cable, and with just the USB cable and an external mic, I'm able to go live stream or record right into my MacBook using OBS because of Nikon's webcam utility. So there's a free software that I can plug into OBS, makes this a discoverable video source, no dongle, nothing. I'll get more into that, but let's jump over to the OBS setup so you can see what the Nikon webcam utility looks like for yourself, and we'll go through that whole setup. Okay, so you're actually looking at me on the Nikon webcam utility from the Nikon Zfc connected via USB-C to USB-C into my MacBook. So that's the important part. This USB cable gives me both AC power, which means no dummy battery, no add-on cost of having some sort of power supply system to have infinite power so it can run for the hours of the stream or whatever you're using it for. It also will deliver a discoverable video signal to something like OBS, which you're seeing me in right now as the recorded file. So in the past, if you had an HDMI cable and you plugged into like a MacBook that had an HDMI port, it never showed up, right? You needed something else, maybe like a $150 adapter or a dongle, or even a cheaper one that doesn't give you full resolution or something like that. Well, now out of the box, you have one cable plugged in that gives you power, video capability, and then all you have to worry about is audio. And right now you're listening to me on a Rode GoLav right here. And it's going into OBS, but I had to put on a 200 millisecond delay, just so you're aware of that. Remember, video processes slower than audio, so you're gonna be a little out of sync if you don't take a look at that. Some USB mics might not have this issue, so just plug and play and figure out what's working for you in your setup. It could be an infinite amount of different things, so that's just my experience right now, going from the Zfc, USB-C into a MacBook, okay? Rode GoLav, that's my setup right now. All right, so why even use this? Why not just use the webcam? Well, number one, you have a better looking image. Two, you get autofocus. I mean, look at this. I can be like, look, I have this product and you should see what I'm doing and I like this and now I'm back to being a YouTuber. You have all those capabilities because you have autofocus full time. I have it set to the fastest speed possible and face detection. So as I move, it stays with me, right? Boom, in focus, no matter how much I move, which is big because especially if you're someone that likes shallow depth of field while you stream or something like that, you'll be constantly in and out of focus as you react to things, and no one's sitting still for a few hours. I don't care what you say, it's good to have that tracking with you, okay? The other thing is you get that Nikon color. I mean, it gets nice and lush. I can even flip this thing into black and white and other picture profiles to get a look that I want. Other webcams let you do that, sure, but you have way more options with this and way more information for the camera to put out there, especially with the larger sensor able to handle lower light situations. Because if you ever look at a webcam and it's like noisy and grainy, it's starving for light. You're not gonna have that much of an issue here, plus you have all the manual settings to adjust for that. It's not virtually or emulating an exposure setting, it actually is allowing you to set an exposure setting. And then finally, my big reason for it is, you get to choose the lenses. I mean, you're talking about the Z mount here. You have all the Z series lenses plus the FTZ adapter to use with the F mount lenses. That's hundreds of lenses right there, or 100 lenses plus of lenses for you to choose from. I myself have put things on here like an 8 to 15 millimeter zoom fisheye, which was a lot of fun. You have all these options and that's really what it is. Out of the box, you have a camera that you can take around with you, shoot, do straight stills with, vlog with the flip out screen, and then also plug it into your computer in one shot, live stream, record into the computer, and you're done. All right, so overall, I had a really good experience with this camera. It took me back to my days of Nikons from earlier in my career when they actually looked like this. And not to mention, it's just kind of fun to play with. And I think user experience goes a long way. You have to want to pick it up. You have to enjoy the experience. So when you put it down, you enjoyed it and you remember it. And when you see it again, you want to pick it up and create more shots. Just saying, I may be romanticizing here. Yell at me in the comments all you want. I'm ready for it. But if you actually have a question for me about my experience using the Nikon Zfc or the 28mm F2.8, let me know down below in the comments. I'll do my best to answer your questions. Don't forget to like, share this video around, hit subscribe, plus the bell for more videos like this to get notified. You can go, boop, I'm watching it, yay. And we'll see you guys next time. Later. You know what really makes this photo great? That Fernando elbow in the back.
Oh, I love
Always. Man.
It's not about you.
It's not about you.